All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Chili here from A Hero's Guide to Asgartha, and I am back talking about the latest update that was only put onto the GameFound, and this was on the Seeds of Unity GameFound, where they asked and answered some questions, where the community asked and they answered some questions about, in particular, the delay of Seeds of Unity and the impact it will have on Roots of Corruption. So let's have a look at their website, give you some of my insight both as a player as well as someone that is a member of the Musubi, which is basically, and I wouldn't call it the inner circle, but Equinox works with us in terms of testing some of their ideas. It gives us some more insight in terms of what they're doing. Of course, there are some things we are behind a non-disclosure agreement, so I cannot give a lot away. But what I can do is give some more insight into some of the things that are revealed. But anyway, here we go. This is update, I believe, number 26. And this was released just a few days ago. Today being the 9th, it was released on the 6th of March. And let's go through the article together. So only 5 days left before the official launch of the Roots of Corruption campaign, and that is actually now going live tomorrow. For my time tomorrow, we'll be able to do that, and we'll see something that they have in store for those that back within the first 24 hours. Before we dive in, we wanted to address some of the questions recently raised by the community. These are important points, so let's take a moment to clarify things. And we'll click through here so we can read a little bit more on that and hopefully gives us the full campaign picture. I don't know why it doesn't just open it fully. So D-5 until the campaign start. Only 5 days left before the official launch of the Roots of Corruption GameFound campaign. We can't wait to share all the exciting new content we've been working on. And I'll say from my end, I'm really, really excited, which the delay in Seeds of Unity really has put a dampener on that experience for me, and I'm sure for many of you that are just wanting to get that product in your hands before we even start thinking about this new one. And now we're having to do a little bit of back and forth between both sets. So before we dive in, we wanted to address some of the questions recently raised by the community from players and professionals alike. And for me, professionals equates to stores, and stores alike. These are important points, so let's take a moment to clarify things. And once again, they're letting us have a peek behind the curtain. Sometimes a little bit too much transparency, but from what I've seen so far in the article as I read it beforehand, I think this is good. It's a question of whether the community is going to be forgiving enough to support Roots of Corruption. And my hope, personally, is that we do, because I see this as a pivotal set, as a set that gives us so much that many people have said that Equinox / Alter does not have, and that is the darker side of things, giving us a little bit more mystery, and there is a little bit of mystery before, but trying to really cater a whole set around destruction. And that is very much pivotal to many other card games, but I think for us, it's something that's been missing. It's something that some people have strayed away from the game because, you know what, there wasn't enough of the parts that they enjoy. Now, so many of us, me especially, I love my real-life crime, like those crime episodes or stories like that. Love it. Absolutely love it. And same thing, some people like the darker side, not just the happy-go-lucky, which the art in this game traditionally shows much more of it. So let's go through. Why start the campaign now when many countries haven't received their orders? Shouldn't you delay it so we can enjoy Seeds of Unity? That is a valid question. I wish we could delay it. But let's read through their answer. As you know, we already had to postpone this campaign once due to production delays. And I'll say this, it's only 2 times that they've had delays, and many people in the community are saying 3 or 4. It's only been twice. One that was announced, and then a second time over just before launch, the second launch, and that only impacted players really outside of Paris, outside of France. Ideally, we would have preferred to give everyone more time to enjoy the latest set before launching the next pre-order phase. However, we're facing a dilemma. With a 4-month cycle per set, the ideal rhythm is to let a new release breathe for 3 to 4 weeks, then launch the next campaign, validate orders, produce and deliver, all within less than 3 months before the following release date. Because of the accumulated delays, we no longer have the flexibility to push dates back while maintaining this 4-month cycle. This is why we decided not to delay the ROC campaign again. Postponing a campaign pushes back the release date and disrupts the entire pre-planned production chain. A 1-week delay today can snowball into a 1 or 2 month delay later. We would risk releasing ROC in September, making the seed season last 6 months instead of 4. For players, this would mean an overly long season, a stagnant meta, and a lack of consistency in set rotations. Okay, the last part, you can look at it both ways, but I completely understand a 4-month cycle being important for them. This is a business that they've got running, and we are part of that business as consumers. So if you're looking as a link, as a complete entity, the 4-month cycle basically is what they need to be able to pay the bills, and they need that revenue influx every 4 months to be able to refresh what they have in their coffers to be able to produce the game at the quality they need. Later on, it's going to talk about how much they're really asking. But the other part is there's this real truth to giving us a chance to play the set before we invest in another set. And I use the word invest. I know some people don't like that phrase because it's a TCG and you may not make money out of it. But you're investing money up front for a utility later on, a happiness later on once the cards arrive. And in this case, we've been asked to produce money up front without being able to get any benefit from the previous one where we put money up front. I don't know what can really be done to reduce the cycle. For me, 2 to 3 months is how long a production cycle should take. Now, the only way I can think of it being a little bit shorter, and this is my own view, these are my thoughts, is that you have enough money in the bank that you pre-produce a number of these, I guess, a set number of packs / compositions. The only problem with that is if they've got any of the awards or, whatever they're called that they do, that basically says if we meet this stretch goal, there's a word, if you meet the stretch goal, we're going to change the composition of a pack. They can no longer offer that. They can never offer that unless they pre-plan, yes, it's the first or second stretch goals we're going to have. We can change the compositions of a pack. And that's something that makes it a little bit difficult to pre-plan and pre-order, I guess, their own production cycle. 3 to 4 months makes sense. Now, I asked the question, should they move to two sets a year, 6 months meta, with maybe 1 or 2 mid-season patches in between to try to not make it stagnant, right, per se. And maybe that in and of itself is like a set rotation, to be honest. But anyway, they said, I've been told you can't really, because then they don't have the funds to be able to do that. I do hope that Equinox is working on creating a kitty so that they're actually thinking about 2 sets ahead, so to speak, in terms of revenue, and be able to help themselves with that production cycle. Let's continue back with the article. We care extensively about consistently providing a novel, fun, and engaging gameplay experience. And as such, the 4-month model is that which best aligns with this vision. And I get it. I understand this. It's still hard to bear when you're the one that has the delay. For all the French players that are playing right now on BGA or playing in person, in person is not so much of an issue, but on BGA, they have got a step up compared to the rest of the world that don't have their cards. So playing against someone that has access to much more is not as fun. And I'll say this is the problem with the release model that we've got this time because of the production delays made by the printer. So what happened? And then this takes us really nicely into the next question. So what happened with the production of Seeds of Unity, and how will you prevent it from happening again with Roots of Corruption? Because we shifted our distribution model, our entire system now relies on the ability to order hundreds of thousands of boosters and have them delivered in less than 2 months. Our legacy card manufacturer has been an incredible partner, and that's Cartamundi, and we continue to work with them for print-on-demand orders. But such a condensed timeline did not align with their traditional methods. This shift required us to find a new partner for the production of ROC, or Roots of Corruption. That's actually written wrong. They actually had this new partner. As far as I can tell, they had it for Seeds of Unity. So that I guess they're thinking of Roots of Corruption, but it is Seeds of Unity that they've made this production change. They did not go through Cartamundi for this. Now, that's shame on me, because in my last video, I was like, come on, Cartamundi, you can do better. They didn't. They actually, and we are working with a French company we have been in touch with for some time. They had previously handled extra products for earlier sets. This company is comparatively much smaller and less experienced than our former partner, and we have yet to reach the same level of team play, or I guess cohesiveness is probably the word here. However, they have put in tremendous efforts to meet our production needs in a very short time frame, and we want to thank them for that. So look, once again, apologizing on behalf of their partner. I guess if they're trying to create this ecosystem where you do repeat business, you can't throw them under the bus, but I can. And they have absolutely fell short of my expectations in terms of what they should have done. They should have been releasing product quicker. I don't know whether it's Equinox's fault or theirs, but combined, they've made a complete stuff up of this whole situation for many people. And also many stores, which for me is the biggest issue, is if you don't have stores that are going to be willing to invest in here because of all these production delays, we may not have a game to play with very long. And I hope that they understand what they're doing. I think these kind of communications are going to help, but that trust is going to take a little while to build up. So combining a new partner, massive production volume, and a compressed timeline set multiple challenges for both our teams. Despite our best efforts to prevent them, issues arose. Both the partner and our team had to learn very quickly how to collaborate on a product of this specific scale. So they bit off more than they could chew, really is what we're telling. And by this, I mean the new company. I can now see why they used a second company last time, because there are some cards that are of different quality. I really loved, if I'm assuming Cartamundi was the main one, I loved the feel of those cards. There was other ones that I got, not from the GameFound one, but from the first set, just your traditional set, that felt much more cardboardy, if I can actually explain it, rather than glossy and slick. I hope that we are going to the quality that Cartamundi gave us. That is, I just absolutely, when I get these in front of my face, that's what I'm looking for, is that we have not lost the quality that we have seen previously. And I have heard things where some things are of not best quality. There's some errors. There's been a whole bunch of errors. We're going to talk about that. But that always happens in a production cycle. It's just usually very small, and usually those are the ones you hear about, so you think there's many more in terms of proportion than they are. Anyway, new foiling. Testing and approving new foiling techniques took longer than anticipated, as it involved coordinating with yet another partner. And for me, this is more for the collector booster packs than it is for your traditional packs. Precision cutting. Cutting cards at such high volumes proved challenging. Finding the sweet spot between perfection, which was too slow, and speed, which resulted in unfit quality, took significant calibration. This one, to me, though, I would say that's a poor excuse that your partner is giving you. They are in the business of making cards, right? If they are in the business of making cards, cutting cards should not be a problem, right? The quality and the speed should be up to a level that is appropriate for everyone. Now, I don't know if they believe in the Six Sigma approach, where you have 6.000, very, very small percentage of things that could go wrong, but they're telling us that they did not have it right. That sweet spot should have already been calibrated by the way that they operate and the business model they provide all their customers, not just us, or we become the whipping boy for their inadequacies. That's the way I view it, right? The unique QR code challenge, and this is true, Altered's distinct design sets it apart from other TCGs, but it also creates unique hurdles. Because every card features a unique QR code, the printing process requires more steps than a standard TCG. Instead of managing 300 plus files, we are managing millions. These files are massive and complex, making the margin for error much smaller. And I completely agree with this. And I think this part is a bit tough, because the first layer that you do is and I'm assuming they do a double run. One run, which is just the cards on their own with no QR code, and a second one that is basically stamping the code onto the cards. My thoughts on this is, yes, it does mean that you may have a double production delay or double production cycle in terms of time, making it much more costly. But at the same time, it's once you've got it down pat, it shouldn't be difficult. But we are having issues where some of the uniques that we've raised are not actually unique. The story was similar for accessories. We worked with James Janik until Skybound Odyssey, but recently had to adapt to a new partner for these items as well. Now, we haven't heard a single thing about the accessories, and to be honest, I don't care if I receive those late. I want the product that I can play with. The other stuff is nice to have. I just need the essentials to play. Now, I will say, unlike many other people here in the States or around the world outside of France, I'm lucky enough that as part of my gift for being a member of the Musubi is that I get a play set of every card. Now, I don't get all the extended arts or things like that, but I get a play set of every card at the beginning of the set launch. And for us, and me and those that are part of the Musubi, we got those basically on the set launch, which was last Friday. I do believe I can't remember the date, but that was last Friday, meaning that the moment BGA opened up, I had access to be able to play my cards. But I was lucky. Not others have had that opportunity. And once again, it's the haves and have-nots. And that's really hard when you're on the bottom of that scale. So how are we going to improve? Every mistake made has already been addressed, and our partners have refined their processes along the way. Experience is built through these challenges, and that experience leads to higher quality. Sure, that's a great slogan. No offense, that's a great slogan. You got to show us that. And I hope that we give them as a community the chance to show us that when they do Roots of Corruption. But there's a huge but here. If it happens again, you're basically going to lose the entire player base. We're already struggling with the competitive players willing to stay, and that's really sad. Of course, BGA has great tournaments, and I'm lucky that I'm able to run one of those with the Rapid Fire tournament. But if you don't have something set in line for your events, the ones that people are looking forward to, and to be honest, I haven't really discussed this, and it wasn't the plan today, but if you don't make it so that there's some level of monetary benefit at the end of it, you're going to lose so much more of your competitive player. Like, I don't know, like Rinku himself, I know he didn't receive any cash at all for winning the Worlds. Yes, he did receive credits for a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm sure they were really nice, and they've made it very known in terms of what these are. But a lot of people want that cash prize. 5, 10, 20,000, 50,000. When your competitors are doing that, I hope we get to a point where we can offer that. And not just the Worlds level, but also at all the other in-person events that we have that are going to be qualifiers. And after that, is there anything else? Can we do something with not tumults, but maybe state or region-based tumults where you get something else? It's not Worlds, but you can get something else. I hope we have the time and we get to that point where we give much more. And they've done a great job of recognizing and giving prize support, and for those all factions, actually all heroes now, if they make top 16 of certain tournaments, which is great, but that's a card. And the cards right now in terms of their price are really not living up to probably the investment in terms of grinding a game to get to that level. Anyway, I will talk about this at another time. Refined planning. One of the things they're going to prove. We now have a precise understanding of how to schedule everything within this new setup. We had to go through the cycle once to master the timing. And this is where I hope that they've given themselves some leeway. They're telling us it's a 4-month production cycle, but they basically can say we can get it done in 3, and we've got that 1 month of float, and keep that float without letting anyone else know about it. That would be my ask. Stabilized product line. The product setup lineup is now nearly definitive. We won't be introducing as many new variables like new collector boosters or accessories simultaneously as we did before. And to be honest, your accessories and stuff, you can get those done way before. You can basically say there's 200 of these, there's 500 of these, first in, best dressed, done, gone. You don't make any more. Automated, and I know that loses some revenue, but if you're worried about that being your precursor to a delay, I would prefer that you just limit what you can give. And they've done that with the Woollyback for this set. Automated checks. We have implemented new scripts specifically designed to flag and prevent file duplicates. That is good. That's one of the issues. On-site oversight. We are spending significantly more time at the factory, also located in Paris, working side by side with the manufacturer. And for me, this should have been first and primal to what you were doing. It had to be there from the beginning, and it felt like we fell short. And this is where I say the blame is not just on the producer. It's on Equinox for not doing the checks and balances to make sure things were done right and early. Feedback integration. The Set 5 release is teaching us a lot based on your direct feedback. And again, a lot of people are giving, basically a lot of negative feedback. But I think things like this, in terms of giving us their responses, what they're doing, can help us. I don't know if it calms the nerves, but it gives us at least an understanding that there is a clear direction where you want to go. But once again, until it's proven, many people are not going to feel comfortable until things are actually in their hand. We get the benefits. And we now have, to be honest, we basically have 4, 8, 12 weeks in terms of getting us ready to prepare for the next set, or 12, 16 weeks, 4 months out. On the other side, we only have 2 weeks of being able to show that this set shines before we have to put money in for Roots of Corruption. While it is impossible to guarantee that no issues will ever arise again, I understand this, we have significantly narrowed the window for error We are committed to ensuring Roots of Corruption meets the high standards as you expect. All right. So how much is the goal? What is the funding goal? How much do they need? Our global goal, both for retailers and for the GameFound, is at least 2 million euros. Now, that's 2.5 million was the last one, so this is less than that, which means they found some savings in their cost base to be able to ensure. Now, I actually hope we get more than 2 million. I think we're going to have some people reserve very late to actually put their money down. We may have some stores that pulled out, but my hope is that they love the game so much that in terms of what is offered through this new set. And we've got some heroes that I believe are going to be at the top of the meta. And I think that in and of itself should give people, and especially the player, the competitive player, a drive to actually buy more, play more, participate more, especially with where we see the next set going. This goal is lower than the goal from the previous campaign, thanks to all the efforts that were made to further optimize our operating costs. Reaching this goal means covering all necessary basic expenses needed for the game: production, shipping, salaries, etc. Going above the goal would particularly allow us to recruit, develop new product, improve our digital solution, and spend more on marketing than we have initially budgeted. If the goal is not reached, the shareholders will meet and discuss the situation accordingly. Now, this is where I go is like that discussion, once again, putting a little bit of fear. I don't think that's their intention, but they shouldn't even have this. No, like the goal, you should not put the negative. I think the negative in and of itself doesn't need to be said. That you can pull out if you don't meet your goal. That is what a GameFound does. That is what I think people understand that. But the thing is, you're going out there and you're putting a total out there, and I think that's where people are going to get upset. I know that's part of the GameFound. The other thing for me is put more money, of course, the recruiting and develop new product. I don't know if you need to develop new products, to be honest, right now. You can recruit so you can actually make what you've got better, improving the digital online. But I would also say put more money into the face-to-face, not just marketing, but in terms of the face-to-face. And maybe the marketing is getting into these big, these big shows around the world. I know we're in the States, we're not going to get any shows this year, and that's really sad to hear because we really need it. Like the player base is small enough that, there's only so much we can do without Equinox actually doing something for themselves, right? Or give us more tools that we can do it because none of us are getting paid. Anyway, in case the decision would be made to cancel the campaign, all backers and professional retailers will be fully reimbursed. I think that is just part of the GameFound. Once again, don't dwell on the negative. I think it's a given, or it was a given that's what they said last time. On GameFound, we're going to display a starting goal of 50,000 euros. To serve as the initial threshold, this 50,000 euro figure is not our real objective, but a technical necessity for us to be able to use the stretch goal system offered by GameFound and allow you to unlock the many surprises we have prepared. And my hope is that they're great. The one that I'm really hoping for is that the pack composition changes so we have more rares. And the reason I say that is I had a mindset that I was paying an X amount of money, and I'm almost paying the same amount now for a box, but I'm getting 1/3 less, right, from 36 to 24 packs. At the same time, they've already given me that I'm getting the same amount of uniques. So the uniques that were 1 in 8 are now in 1 in 6. So I'm going to get the same amount of uniques per box. But I'm not getting the same amount of rares. And that is something that, like, once again, previously you could also get a full playset of commons with one box. Now you can't. I don't mind that, but I think they've got to up the rares purely because this is unlike any other TCG. This game has much more rares, double the rares, to be honest, than it does commons. No other TCG really does that as far as I know, which means getting your playset is incredibly difficult. You'll need 6 to 8 boxes. At a bare minimum, actually, you probably need more this time than you did last time. All right. At the same time, we couldn't simply show 2 million as the target goal, since the retailers' numbers cannot be added automatically to the GameFound campaign. And I think that's really good to know, is what we're going to see on the GameFound in terms of the ticker as it's ticking over is only our component for those that go direct. All right, so the other things they've done is they've called it a pro campaign. And for once again, this is the stores. Started Tuesday, March 3rd, and it will end on Monday, March 16th. So we are halfway through that right now. The GameFound campaign for every one of us that wants to buy direct from GameFound starts on March 10th. That's tomorrow for me, and ends March 20th. On the 18th of March, once again, I love this transparency. Once the figures are consolidated, we will communicate the total amount from the stores so that you know exactly where we stand regarding the $2 million goal that they're looking for. And my hope is that we get over the $1 million. I would hope that we get the stores to be at about a 1.5. I really think of it in terms of a 65-75% stores. Now, the stores are not going to get the same benefit as they got last time, and it's going to talk a little bit about it in just a second. But I do believe that they still should be able to provide some stuff. And this is where I hope Equinox, rather than giving out more collector boosters, gives them other things they can do to give us price support for players, right? You've got to give something that they can give away. As many stores do not like having to get rid of their own product at a discount. But if we can get something back in their hands, that is also something that we as players want and basically are challenged to say, oh man, I need to go rather than I want to go to my local, my weekly gameplay. So what changes are planned between the professional retailers, once again the stores, offer, and GameFound offer? During the last campaign, there was some confusion regarding the specific advantages for each. To make things clearer, we've decided to emphasize their key differences. Our goal here is to streamline the retail offer as much as possible from one campaign to another. We believe the retailers are meant to benefit from an attractive pricing for their players looking for volume, while the GameFound offers a more customized experience. So once again, what the retailers basically want to say, give us a bang for our buck and we will invest more. The player like me that wants to buy from the store or buy from the player is like, well, I'm not going to be buying in bulk. I understand I'm going to pay more. But what they've done is they've removed the large display. And we're going to read it here. For professional retailers, stores, after considering retailer feedback from our previous campaign, we've decided to remove the 24 display Legendary Pack from GameFound as its pricing was too competitive with the retail offers. And you know what? I looked at that with the store that I went to, because I bought 2 of these 24 displays for me and my teammates, as well as some of our locals. And the reason why we went through and did this is like they were offering collector boosters that made the benefit much better at the store than it did for going GameFound, because you're limited to just getting 1 per box. And they offered more than that for the same price. So we've also removed, this is the other thing they said, we've removed the free collector boosters from the retail offer. This offer was specific to the celebration of our first GameFound campaign, but was also very costly. I completely get it. It would basically, they're losing 20% of their revenue stream by doing this if you look at a box compared to the booster pack. It remains, this is collector booster to the regular booster box. It remains available to new clients nonetheless. However, quantities are limited and products are reserved solely for organized play. I like this, so it's an incentive for new stores to come in. But on the other side, I wish they had also said, hey, we're still going to give you up to a certain limit to the returning stores, because you want to give them some level of incentive too, right? Saying, you know what, you're going to get this. If you meet X amount, then you're going to be capped at getting, say, 2 boxes free of the collector booster packs. I know it costs a bit of money, but that's kind of like a goodwill gesture to say we're doing this. Otherwise, a store will say, well, I won't buy it. My sister store will buy it, and you just go back and forth every month, every GameFound, so that you get this benefit. All right, for GameFound, a few more exclusive products in the bundles for those looking for a different collector-focused experience. And once again, we know about the Woollyback token being only on the GameFound. The other thing here is the specific GameFound box toppers. And it's not a box topper. It's based on how much money you spend. So if you spend €200, you will be, for every €200 you spend, you'll get access to one of these special GameFound box toppers. And I think that's really fun. I think that's really good. The question that I have, and I think this is what we're seeing right now in terms of the pricing, is it enough of a chase card that you can then sell it and get some of your money back? You know, is the value of the resale market enough? And what I've seen so far, while the prices are increased based on your previous sets, it's just not there yet. And part of it is probably because we don't have the demand. The demand for the game needs to grow a little bit more to make these cards a much more chase and have more people wanting them. And I think that will happen over time. The game is good. The game really is good. The marketing has been a little bit rough for us all, and so has been the journey in terms of, you know, being told we're getting something and it's been delayed. I think we lost a lot of people because of the delay in print on demand. But now that we see print on demand, the quality of everything we're getting is great. It just takes a while to get it, and it's quite costly. But you're printing something and then sending it overseas. That in and of itself makes sense. Now, I'm hoping eventually they can get so they can have printers in different parts of the world and reduce some of those transactional costs for delivery, especially for our friends in Brazil who are just struggling with how expensive things are to get into there. So a final word. We know that for many of you, the excitement for Roots of Corruption is mixed with the anticipation of finally holding Seeds of Unity in your hands. We hear you, and we're working around the clock with our global partners to ensure these deliveries reach you as quickly as humanly possible. I'm surprised, like I've been told mid-March is when they're starting. We're on the 9th of March right now. I would have thought that a week out, I would have received some level of communication that says when to expect my package. I haven't seen anything, and I don't think Equinox is the one that sends this out. It's going to be whoever they're using as their partner, but I'm surprised that I haven't seen anything, and maybe it does have to come from Equinox. In the meantime, we hope you're enjoying the new meta on BGA. Thank you for sticking with us through the growing pains of this ambitious journey. Bloody oath, it's ambitious. And I believe in you guys, but you got to give us something that we can put in our kitty. I always talk about positive, negative recognition or feedback. 4-1. We're getting it the other way around where it's 4-1 bad experiences to 1 good. And there's so much good, we just don't advertise it as well as we could. Your support, patience, and feedback are what allow this game to evolve. We can't wait to see you on March 10th for the launch of the campaign. Let's make this next chapter the best one yet. And I think, look, really good article, very transparent. I'm going to put a little, let me see. Oh, I had already clicked the thumb, so let me put that. Now, there was another article that was released. This was released, I believe, just today, and that is basically on Roots of Corruption. The launch day offer, and I think it's pretty cool. Pledge and try to win 2 collector boosters. So the Roots of Corruption pre-order campaign kicks off in less than 24 hours. And to thank those who were there right from the start, we've got a surprise lined up for you. We are giving away a pack of 2 collector boosters as an add-on in our campaign to 50 lucky backers, chosen from everyone who pledges within the first 24 hours. And if I look correctly, there was 3,000 people that pledged last time or close to that. So you've got, let's see, 50, 500, 5,000. 5,500 would be 10%. We're looking at maybe 0.5% to 1%, depending on how many people within the first 24 hours. That's not bad. So the campaign goes live Tuesday, March 10th at 10 p.m. UTC +1, and we have 24 hours to validate our pledge and enter the contest before Wednesday, March 11th at the same time the following day. So there you go. And after the campaign ends, 50 winners are going to be chosen randomly and contacted via email using the address provided. Now, you don't have to put money in. You just have to pledge it to receive the 2 collector boosters in addition to whatever they do for pledge. And so make sure you can make any pledge. And we can see Sam and Spook here. Really nice. 1 of 30. Now I'm looking forward. I hope I get one of these cards. The Corrupted Woollyback and a Quaggan Exorcist. Look at that. As I said, the darkness coming back here. When you create 1 or more tokens, target character in player in reserve gains 2 boosts. And when played from reserve, create a Brassbutt robot token in your companion expedition. Not bad for 3/3 for 1/3/1. There you go. Collector boosters are back and darker than ever, packed with unique cards, exclusive corrupted card treatment like Evil Eye cards, Shattered Stigmas, and frame-breaking Awakened Plagues, all in their stunning foil variants. Don't miss out. Follow the game, and that's it. And we'll see you on March 10th. So I will be backing this up. I hope you guys do as well. One of the positives about doing this, if they can show that they can get enough interest for me, and this is if we get enough interest to have, and my goal would be 2,000 to 3,000 people easily backing the project. And one thing of note, I'm just going to go here really quick. I know I've taken a long time today, but if you look at here and you look at the project, in terms of how many people are following it, there's already 4,000 people following this campaign. That means there's an interest in the game right now. There's an interest there, and we piqued the interest. What are we going to do to keep them and look for conversions? What's out there? And I'm going to just go and see what we had for Seeds of Unity, just to see, hopefully it does it here. 5,407, right? You've already got a number of those. 80% of those are returning customers or people that are interested in this game. And to be honest, there's a lot of people that said they followed the project that didn't follow through. My hope is we get that, we can get that commitment. I think things are going to be good. The game looks great. Roots of Corruption looks amazing. Seeds of Unity feels so good to play with. And I can't wait to play it in person. I'm excited to go to Game Haven Sandy. For those that haven't been around, go into that store. If you're in Utah for any reason, come ski and play a game. You'll see me, you'll see Nick, you'll see a number of the community It's one of the largest centers right now playing Altered in the US. We've got a dedicated group of people, both guys and gals, that are just fantastic and who have been let down from the process in terms of not being able to get the product. And when they couldn't get the product, what they did, and I was working at the time, so I wasn't able to attend myself, they still did a tournament. They did a 2 versus 2 and had a blast. And what we need is some of that, that sap that we're looking for. That's going to give us the joy of actually playing the game with the new cards. And once again, Seeds of Unity is what we're missing, and we need it. On that, I bid you adieu.